Hi everyone. In this video today, I thought it was important that we have a little chat looking at the role of social workers in society. Why do we need them? In doing this, we're going to explore three areas and a fourth, which is the dilemma that society currently faces. So please stick around for the final one. So the first one is social workers. Why do we need them? I believe that we need social workers because in a society that is highly divided, and you've got the most vulnerable, that be children, adults, somebody needs to speak up for them. Somebody needs to support them. Somebody needs to be able to empower them enough to regain some form of stability in a home where children are exposed to neglect. Children are abused by the people that are supposed to protect them. Somebody needs to be there for them. They can't speak up for themselves. It's important to note that I'm not saying that as a profession we always get it right. That's not what I'm saying. But it is crucial to also understand that no profession gets it right because we're humans and mistakes happen, especially when you're not the one in control of all. For example, where a child is being abused in a home, unless there's physically cameras for you to be able to see that abuse happening, you can't respond at that time. If that child's not taken into hospital and doesn't report that abuse to somebody else, you can't do nothing about it. If he says that abuse to somebody that's an adult and that adult happens to be a family member and doesn't report that, you can't do nothing about it. The only time you can act is when that is reported. And that takes me to my second point. When the abuse or harm within a household, that be adult, that be children, comes to the attention of social workers, the role of a social worker is to try to understand what is going on. Hence the reason you would have questions like, tell me about what life was like growing up. Tell me about what sort of skills you think as a parent you've learned from your own parents that is enabling you to provide the parenting that you're currently providing. What we often get is, why do you need that? You're just too nosy. Why do you want to know about my past? What a social worker is trying to do at that point in time is understand the pattern of behavior. So, were you brought up in a household where it was okay for children to be beaten up? Were you brought up in a household where it was okay to go to bed hungry because you've done something wrong? Were you brought up in a household where you were so poor you didn't know where the next meal was coming from? Understanding that allows us to understand some of the situations that your child is currently facing, because we're able to tap on that emotion you must be feeling during that time as a child and link it to what your child is possibly feeling at this point in time. Because only that way do we believe that you're able to fully connect with your child on a human level. The third point is, when social workers are told by families that we come across that there are loads of families out there that need your help, I don't need it, why don't you go help them? The important thing for family and society to understand is, how do we identify the families that need us unless an assessment is completed? And because you say you don't need us, doesn't always mean that that's the case. We still need to complete the assessment to be able to establish that. We've heard of so many fatalities that's happened over the years because social workers and other professionals have been told that mind your own business, we don't need you. And an assessment has been completed and it's been assumed that everything's okay because the families that we've come across have been so good at acting, so good at colluding with the people around them, being able to kind of buy in other professionals, school, doctors, the police, to name a few. And when you attend meetings with all of these other professionals and then you're raising these concerns, and it comes across as though you are the crazy social worker that cannot just let families be. When you're sitting there on your own saying, I am very worried about this child. I am very worried about this family. And everybody else is not able to kind of see the picture that you're seeing. I'm not saying this to blame any other profession. All I am saying is, as a social worker, sometimes you can feel isolated. And that takes me to my final point, which is the dilemma. As a society, when something goes wrong, we're very quick to say, oh, social workers should have done something. In the instances of Victoria Kalembe, Baby P, tragic incident that happened to children, where parents and guardians were very manipulative and things went wrong, costing beautiful children their lives. The society was very quick at saying how social workers have got things wrong, but the findings later on, it was everyone had a role to play. How do we protect children, and when is it okay? Does the child need to be dead first before we act? Or do we need to act to save a child's life? When a social worker gets involved in a family's life, what we're trying to do is ensure that we work with the family to be able to equip them with the skills to get a better tomorrow. Raise awareness that your child is actually struggling either with education, the way they're being treated at home, the fact that they are not feeling loved. You may be providing them with food, shelter, but are you emotionally available for that child? But how can you be emotionally available for your child if you're under the influence of drugs? What message are we sending to that child when we're telling the child that they're not good enough? What message are we sending to the child when the child is being mentally abused within their own home? What message are we sending to a child when we're not accessing support when the child is struggling? What message are we sending to a child when we're threatening the child with, if you tell anybody what's happening, you're going to be taken into care? I believe that the important thing that we must do is understand the role that we all play as a society, because only by doing this are we able to keep more children safe. As a society, your next door neighbor is abusing their child, it is your responsibility to report that. It is not a social worker's responsibility to be aware of that, because they might not even know that family exists, because they've been so good at covering their tracks. As a professional, we have a legal duty to report any form of abuse that we observe or notice or have been reported to us. Only by working together as a community are we able to fully provide our children with the society and environment that we want them to grow up in, feeling safe, secure, settled, and prepared for what life is going to look like. I hope that you've found this video useful today. If there's any question that you'd like me to answer, please leave a comment below. I hope that you're able to like, subscribe, and join us in our community. You take care now and stay safe. Thank you. Bye for now.